Why did you come to teach at this festival?
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here because I've seen the framework and the setting of the festival in general, and there are wonderful teachers here. So for me, first of all, it's an honor to be part of it, and I think it's very important to, in general, to be part of. To encourage the aspect of education and giving knowledge passing to the next generation. I usually don't teach regularly, but I do give masterclasses once in a while, and I find it very important to do so. I was very, very fortunate to have masterclasses from many great masters since I was a child, and I profited from them so much. So I don't know if I can give as much as they did, but if I can give some of it, it's already, I think, an important task. And then the director here, the Yossi Reshev, is a very close friend of mine. We also studied together with the same professor who influenced both of us tremendously, the great Israeli pianist Pnina Zaltzman. So for me, it's a calling, of course, for the teaching of Pnina, but it's also a big and important friendship for me with Yossi, and I truly believe in what he's accomplishing here.
Do you think that a student should always perform the piece at the beginning of a lesson?
It's not obligatory, but I think it does. It is important, not only for both. I think both for the student to have the chance to really show where he wants to go with the piece, because sometimes in the first bars it might not be very clear, and I can start teaching the first bar and there is always work already from the first bars. Usually the first bars are the most important, and there is much work on them, but it also gives a chance for the student to be inspired and maybe get a bit more released and free if there is any tension and stress, and truly show his or her intention or her intentions. And I think also for us, for me as a teacher, and also for the public who is listening, it's important to grasp first what the student wants to say before I can contribute and say something that might be helpful and guidance for him or her. So yeah, I think it's quite important. The musical message can only be exposed if it's been played entirely. Of course, it depends on the piece. If it's, let's say, if it's Hammerklavier, we will not do the whole Hammerklavier before I start, or the whole Goldberg variations, but then you start by movements or by first segments, yeah.
What is, for you, the main difference between a masterclass and a regular lesson?
Well, first of all, any lesson, masterclass is a lesson, so there are many more similarities than differences. I mean, the most important is for me to try and understand what the student, the young artist wants to portray and express in his or her own way. Then, of course, there is the composer's intentions, and that's where I am supposed to step in and hopefully give a few advices that could be helpful. But there is still yet a difference. Masterclass is usually open for public. Also, in lessons, you can try to focus, for example, only on the first few bars, because you know that the students might come back later on for other lessons. In a masterclass, you have a framework of time which is much more limited. You know that you have to do everything within 1 hour or one and a half, whatever is given to you. And you have a role for the students also to try and cover in a general way kind of a path that will help and not focus only on a few small aspects that might be very useful as well, but are missing the point of really giving the interpretation of the piece. And also, masterclass is eventually also for the public. In a way, through the teaching of the students, you hope that the public will also get another glimpse into what the piece is meant to be about and what it should project and portray. In a way, it's also another form of connecting and inspiring public by our mutual work. It's not that the teacher is going to inspire the public, it's by the playing of the student and by the transformation of the student that the public can truly get a closer look into the work of a musical work, which is something which is in other ways very difficult to explain. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, there are enough Hollywood films about the creation of music or careers, and it's usually absolutely nonsensical. But in a masterclass, it's truly, when public comes for a few hours, they can truly have a real inspiration of seeing how the artistic work is being done. And that's something that in a private lesson you don't have. You're just you and the student. So it's a different set of mind.
I see. And do you think that you also get something out of this masterclass by teaching? Do you learn something?
Masterclass or lessons. I mean, I think in any interaction with someone else who is playing a piece and exposing their own thoughts and feelings, whether you agree or not, it gives you also a different way to look at what the composer wrote, not necessarily in the way I would have imagined it. And then I look for the path, but by every encounter, whether it's a concert or a lesson in a way more intense, because you have to think about solutions for the students. So you have to go out of your box and imagine how would I have done it, but through the interpretation or the physiology or whatever of the student, which is different than yours. And it challenges you, and in a way you are learning also about the piece by opening this different perspective.
I see. Do you have a memorable moment from teaching in a masterclass or in a lesson?
I don't know if I have a memorable, I mean there are many moments, but I don't know if I have a specific memorable moment from teaching, but I do have a few very memorable moments of studying, of getting masterclasses when I was younger. I had the chance to work with many great artists. A few moments. I mean, for example, the first time I was studying with Alexis Weisenberg, both privately and in masterclasses. And the first time I studied with him was in a masterclass actually first, and for me it was quite amazing that only by him approaching to the piano and I saw it also with other students, that there was a transformation of the music making just by his presence, which is a bit unexplainable because he didn't say anything, but the playing really changed. I heard it in other students. I was looking at their masterclass as well, listening to it, and it was really extraordinary to see the power of communication and by only a physical presence and a look or a listening, and there is a physical aspect to listening and how people transform the playing, of course later on even more in the teaching, but just by the approaching, by the presence, but another set of ears where something is projected. And for me that was a great lesson about communication, because in a way that's also what we are doing with the public. I mean, there is a real physical communication which is transferred by air. So it's a mystery music, but it works. Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to predict the future of a student? I mean, like the way they develop. Can you say like if they become good or medium or whatever?
It's hard to say because it's really like everything in life, and especially about people, it's all individual. It depends on the age of the student. I mean, whether it's 12 or 30, that's a very different phase in life. I mean, of course, the younger students, it's very hard to predict because they can go in so many different ways. You have lots of stories of a wonderful, prodigious, la femme prodige, that later on the child left, but the talent left as well. Sometimes the talent stays, but not always. I think you can predict some parts, not really all of them. You don't know how people might transform, but there is this important small thing called talent. And Pina Salzman, our professor, she had a very funny saying about it. She said, when God gave talent, he was very cheap. So so he really gave very few. And great talents, whatever their age is and whatever phase of preparation they are, you can really notice it. And that's always a very good base for a future development, whether it's professional in music, but also maybe in another realm of art, but their talent will be carried with them. And talent, which is again another mystery, it's a mix of many elements, I guess. Intuition, feeling, emotions, intelligence, all together wrapped, it's what you call talent, I guess. It needs development, but it's something that you can notice. And this is a great indication, usually.
Interesting. Another question, do you have a funny memory from teaching? Yeah,
not from teaching again, from studying. It's very funny, actually. I was really young, but I had a masterclass with Ivo Pogorelic. and Ivo Poet is quite a unique person, and after the playing, he just told me thank you, and that was it.
That's indeed quite funny. Huh?
That was the shortest masterclass I ever had in my life.
Do you have a favorite composer to teach?
Well, I'm not teaching regularly, so I give masterclass, and each time it differs. So it's hard to say, but of course there are a few composers that are very close to my heart, and I love diving into their world. I mean, there are many, but I would say probably Chopin is a very big favorite, and I even asked if someone could play Chopin today, and there is one student who's playing some Chopin. So, but yet there are many other composers I adore. It's like when you're playing, you can't choose one. But I think Chopin I have a certain personal connection with, and also I loved always to explore a lot about his life and how it reflects in his music, because in a way he's one of the first ever who made this synthesia between his own personal experiences and his compositions. It's really like biographical writing in a way. So in a way, I since I was very young, I love to read about his life also, and I felt close to him in a certain way, which is common to many pianists, because Chopin is a pianist composer. So yeah, I think when I teach Chopin, I have a joy from that as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bar-Shai, for this very interesting interview.
With pleasure.